All right, there we go. Okay, so what I want to do is first of all go to, I didn't go ahead and do attendance tonight, but I want to go to D2L and I'm going to look at the, actually if you have the Evernote linked, then you can just do that from the home page because I want to show you what I've added there, and we're going to kind of start. This is actually, I put week 10. This is week 2 for this class. So what we did the other night was we went through lesson 3, and if you didn't have, since Rebecca, you have a book, right?
Yes.
So did you get through 3 yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Just got it, like,
Little there too. Okay, that's the longest lesson, and that's the one that goes into the CSS basics, but I know you just had HTML and CSS3, so it should go pretty quickly, both 2 and 3, which 2 was the HTML basics. Okay, now 4 is actually entitled the Web Design Basics, and what we're going to do in here tonight, this is a new lesson for, like, previous versions of Dreamweaver did not have this, because this has the where you create the Adobe Photoshop mockup, but then you're actually able to extract assets from that Photoshop file and create your basic page. And so it's called the Adobe generator. And so, like, people that are still working with CS6 don't have that option, even though they can use Photoshop for a mock-up. So that's something new in the CC version. So we're going to actually go through and create that. But first I want to show you all, I've been talking about the final project, and I know you all both did HTML websites, and you can redo those sites and use those sites if they match all the criteria that is going to be in this project, because this one is called the portfolio project. But I'm going to go in, I went ahead and started with PDF files to show you each week where you should be. So I have 2 documents out in D2L, and I have here, first of all, let me, before I leave Evernote, show you, I have the due date for the planning documents for your final project to be next Monday. If it's at least by the end of next week, that's fine also, because I'm just introducing these documents today, and what I'm trying to do is get you on the road with your final project. Yes. That's what I'm going to show you right now. I was just showing you that I have a due date on there, so that by the end of next week, I say Monday, April 6th, those of you that have those, and you'll understand when I get into the PDFs, then you'll show me in class how you've met these criteria. So let me go back over to D2L. In D2L, I have posted a topic called Final Project, and I've posted 2 documents here. There will be one each week that adds to what you're supposed to be doing in your final project. This one, the first document, it covers what we're going to cover tonight, and you had it some in HTML class because we talked about, but I didn't actually, some of you did it and some of you didn't in HTML class. In this class, we're going to do it for sure. It's developing the new website. And so we'll go back actually and read over these 2 final project documents after we get through lesson 04, okay? Because they'll make more sense then. All right. So we're going to go straight into lesson 04, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. And you, if you don't have the file, then go ahead. Did you download it, Jonathan? The lesson 04 data files?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're there because they're in D2L, even if you didn't have your book yet. But what I want to go over first, let me pull this book up, is on page 116 in your book. I want to cover this material to make sure. I don't want you working on your website right now, because we'll go through lesson 04 and do it together in class. But I need to be sure that you understand what's going to be required. And so this is what this chapter, the first few pages of it, is about: the web design basics. So lesson 2, we did HTML basics. Lesson 3, we did CSS basics. And now lesson 4, before we do page layout, which is lesson 5, we need to talk a little bit about web design basics. And so in this lesson, you're going to learn the basics of web design, how to create page thumbnails and wireframes. So you remember in HTML class, we talked about wireframes, but I'm not really sure that anyone actually did a wireframe. And so that's why I want to go through it in this lesson to make sure that you understand what the requirement is for a wireframe. How to use Photoshop to generate a site image assets automatically. So those are the 3 things that we're going to do in this lesson tonight. So let's go to, this is what you're going to be looking at. This is a wireframe in pencil. This is a Photoshop mock-up, and then this is after we extract that Photoshop mock-up into Dreamweaver. So the first thing, and some of this hopefully will come back to you from HTML class where we talked about these things, and I told you in your narrative that you needed to answer these questions. Well, this time, instead of a narrative, whenever you look at those final PDFs, you'll see the documents that you need to put into your final project folder by the end of next week, hopefully by Monday, so you can show it to me. But before you begin any web design project, you should ask these things, or yourself, or ask your client these important questions. And we talked about this in HTML. So what is the purpose of the website? Who is the audience, and how do they get here? So the thing is, like, if you want to just use what you created in HTML and make it part of this portfolio project instead of redoing that, that's another option you have. But you can create a portfolio site, which the purpose would be to market who you are and what you can do. And it would still be an ongoing website that you would add to. But here's some of the things. We'll talk about that when we get to the PDF file of the final project. But will the website sell or support a product or service? Is your site for entertainment or games? Will you provide information or news? Will you need a shopping cart or database? These are things that you need to know before you start building the website. And the thing is, throughout these lessons in Dreamweaver, you're going to be building a website that includes all the things that will need to be in your final project, just like in HTML and CSS. Okay, so who is the audience? Is the audience adults, children, adults or children? What is it? So you need to read through this, or in your HTML book, it had some of that too. Now, who is the audience? Knowing who will be vital to the overall design and functionality of your site. Because if it's a site for children, you know, it's got to be bright, it's got to be interactive, engaging. Whereas if it's for adults, sometimes it needs to be more serious content and in-depth analysis. So these are things that will affect the overall feel of your website. Is there an existing website performing the same service or selling the same product? And remember, in HTML class, I had you look at some, go out and try to find some websites that were similar to what you wanted to do. But the thing is, if there's a website that does what yours does, then you don't want to mimic it. You don't want it to be the exact same thing. And here it gives you an example by saying, look at Google and look at Yahoo. They perform the same basic service, but their site designs couldn't be more different. Okay, so that's something that you want to take into consideration. How do they get there? This sounds like an odd question when speaking of the internet, but just as with a brick and mortar business, your online customers can come to you in a variety of ways. Now, this is really important. When we, okay, you know the Rose State website is pretty crummy and has been there for a long time. Well, they have, a year ago, the new president hired a very well-known company called Ackerman McQueen to redo our site, our advertising, our branding, and everything. And you might notice that our logo has changed. It's no longer the little symbol. It says Rose State College. Well, I'll show it to you later. But they are changing the whole thing. Well, the president thought, well, we can get this website up and running by the summer. Okay, what they did not realize in web design, it takes as long to construct a website as it does to create the campus, because that's what you're doing. You're actually designing this campus on the web. And so people, when web design first started, like almost 20 years ago now or more, about in the 90s, mid-90s, when web design started, people didn't hardly get paid anything to do it because they thought, oh, well, you're just putting a little website up. It's not a big deal. Well, web design programmers and developers and designers, they should get paid what programmers and cybersecurity people get paid, because they do a lot of work that is not really noticed because all they see is the design when it comes up. They don't know everything that's behind it, making it work properly, right? So this is the thing that it's talking about here. It's saying, okay, it's a brick and mortar business. Your online customers can come to you in a variety of ways. You know, there's many businesses now that don't have a physical storefront. They're only online. For example, are they accessing your site on a desktop computer, a laptop, a tablet, or cell phone? Are they going to be using high-speed internet, wireless? What browser are they most likely to use? So where do you get this information? Okay, this is something that I wanted to show you. W3 Schools, which I showed you that site in HTML class, has these statistics. If you go to, oops, I'm going to say copy. And let me see if I can, I'll do it here. If you go to this site, here are the browser statistics. This is the trend in browser usage. And I think that we saw this maybe in this class the other night. I think it was here. It has really changed. We noticed that over the years, Google Chrome, look at how it's consistently come up. And the usage for Internet Explorer, look back in, I don't know if it goes, how far back it goes, 2010. Look, Chrome was 9.8% used, and IE was 37%, and Firefox was 46%. So Google Chrome has significantly cornered the market now as far as browsers. Why is that important to you? Why is that important, Jonathan?
So you'll put your thing on there and you'll have more people looking.
Right, and how does it affect our coding, depending upon what browser? That's correct. So if you put a lot of time into making it look properly on or display correctly in IE, well, now that might not be where you want to spend the most time. You might want to be in Google, right, in Chrome, because that's where the most of your market is going to be looking at your site. Now, does that mean you shouldn't look at it in IE? No, you probably should look at it in all the browsers and say, well, I can live with that little display issue in IE because it really messes it up. If I fix it, it messes it up in Chrome. You know what I'm saying? There are hacks, they call them, for IE that will make it display properly there. And that used to be a major deal because there was a lot more IE users. Okay? So Bill Gates probably has some issues now. Huh? He doesn't have a monopoly anymore on that. Okay, so let's go back then. Here was another one that gives the breakdown on operating systems. So whether it's running Linux or Windows, what browsers still may be still Windows. In 2011, they started to track the usage of mobile devices on the internet. But let's see this one. Oops. This one is the operating systems. So let's see if that's also affected Bill Gates or not. There's probably still primarily more Windows users, but let's look. 2015, Windows 8, Windows 7, Vista, NT, XP, Linux, Mac, 10%. Okay, so Windows 7 has the largest operating system usage is there. Now, Mac is coming up, it looks like, and mobile usage, look at mobile usage going up. That's the iOS or Android, those type. Linux is still just about half, which Mac is based on a Linux system. But see, people are really staying at Windows 7 a lot. All right, there was one other one that it told us. Let's look at this. This is the, lets you find out the latest information on resolution and screen size on the internet. So that's another biggie. When I started multimedia, we were 640 by 480. You know, you probably have never seen a screen that's that had that large of icons on it. It was so you could see the pixels almost, but that's what we had to design for because that's what most monitors were at then. Very few had even the 1024 by 768. So let's see how that's changed. See, here it's showing you down to, it only shows you down to 800 by 600. It doesn't show what it was when I started. Okay, January 2000 up to the most people have color. Oh, that's color depth. Wait a minute. 56% were at the 800 by 600, and look, that's gone down to almost nothing. So most people have at least 1920 by 1080 or other higher, 34%. In January 2011, that started changing where people had better monitors, better computers that would do what you want it to do. Okay, so those are some of the things that would affect us in the design of our site. So if you are redesigning an existing site, which that's what you would be doing if you're going to take your HTML site and redesign it for Dreamweaver, then some of these things might apply. If you host your own site, you can incorporate third-party tools such as Google Analytics and Adobe Omniture into your code to do the tracking for you for free or for a small fee. As of the fall 2014, Windows still dominates the internet, with most users favoring Google Chrome, followed by Firefox. That's what we just saw. So those are some really, really important things to keep in mind. Now there's one more. This brown page or tan page talks about responsive web design. And basically what responsive web design is that most mobile devices, your website has to respond to the size of the device. So when you open up a website on your mobile device, you can probably tell immediately whether it was designed to run on your mobile device, your smartphone, because it will not look right. If it looks like the one on page 118, which I'll show you here, if this site design looks like that on the Android there, then it is probably responsive to the cell phone. But originally, what we had to do in order to get sites to appear correctly on small devices, you had to actually create more than one website. It had to be a site where when it went to that site, it determined whether it was a tablet or a cell phone or a desktop and used the different sites. Now we have the capability of causing our site to adapt to whatever the size of the device. And that's what we're going to see how to do inside Dreamweaver. We're going to be able to create what's called responsive web design. And that term was coined by a Boston-based web developer named Ethan Marcotte in a book by the same name in 2011. And basically, that's what it means, is that it adapts to whatever the size of device. Now, here's a scenario that we're going to be creating. It's called Meridian Green Start, and this is what our website is going to be throughout every lesson, and you have all those data files for it. We're going to develop a site for Meridian Green Start, which is a fictitious community-based organization dedicated to green investment and action. This website will offer a variety of products and services and require a broad range of web page types, including dynamic pages using technologies like jQuery, which is a form of JavaScript. Your customers come from a wide demographic that includes all ages and education levels. They are people who are concerned about environmental conditions and who are dedicated to conservation, recycling, and the reuse of natural and human resources. I guess they're liberals, huh? I just threw that out there. Your customers come from that area, so that's answered that one question that you needed to know about your site. So what they're doing here is they're explaining to you the answers to those three questions that they ask at the beginning of the chapter, right, of the lesson. So your marketing search indicates that most of your customers use desktop computers or laptops connecting via high-speed internet services. You can expect to get 20 to 30% of your visitors exclusively via cell phone and other mobile devices, and much of the rest will be using mobile from time to time. So to simplify the process of learning Dreamweaver, we'll focus on creating a fixed width site design first, and then in lesson 5 is when we'll adapt it for mobile devices. Okay, so what this scenario is telling you, this is what you need to answer about on your final project. You need to address those three things. The things that they did in this scenario, they told you what was the purpose of this website. They told you who was going to be the audience, and then they told you what they determined in their marketing research. Okay, they determined in their research what kind of computers they were going to be using and how often they were going to be using mobile devices. Now, I understand that marketing research, you may have to guess on some of that because you won't have yours up long enough to determine that because yours hasn't been public, I don't think, either one of you. So if you use that, but that's the things that I want you to be very pointed about in your project, that you know the purpose of it, that you know who's going to be looking at it, what the demographics are, and what you're going to be targeting as far as computer size. Okay, but you will have to do something with mobile devices too. All right, so the next section is the part that is part of the requirement in the PDF that we'll look at here in a minute. After you have nailed down the answers to the 3 questions about your website, purpose, customer demographic, and access model, the next step is to determine how many pages you'll need, what those pages will do, and finally, what they will look like. So what some people do is by drawing them out in pencil and paper and in thumbnails. And that's what this part, you don't have to draw in pencil or paper. You can do it in Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever you're familiar with, Word, however you want to do it. But I need a sketch like this of your home page, and there are specific levels in your page. There's going to be the top level and all of these pages, which you don't have to have this many pages, but whatever pages are directly linked off the home page, and then however many pages that you have that only come off of that page. You follow what I'm saying? So if it's a link off of this, but it's not directly off the home page, then that's what your drawing would look like. Okay? So this week till the end of next week, or whenever, and if you started with one of these in HTML and you're going to stay with that same website and you have this drawing, you can use the same one unless it's changed some, and it may change as we go along. Okay, any questions about that? You understand what I'm saying? Okay.
I lost my drawing.
You did, so you have to do another one. Or you can do it in Illustrator or something now too. So here's the page design then. That's the next part. Once you've figured out what your site needs in terms of pages, products, and services, you can then turn to what those pages will look like. Make a list of components you want or need on each page, such as headers and footers, navigation, and areas for the main content and the sidebars, if any. Put aside any items that won't be needed on every page. And what other factors do you need to consider? Well, you need to know if mobile devices are going to be an important consideration of your design identity, which of the components will be required or optional for these devices. For instance, you may not put all three columns on a mobile device. There may be just a logo or something is different on those, and that's what you will decide. While many components can be simply resized for mobile screens, some will have to be completely redesigned or reimagined. So that's what you want to think about too. Do you have a company logo, business identity, graphic imagery, or color scheme you want to match or complement? Do you have publications, brochures, or current advertising campaigns you want to emulate? And I don't think either one of y'all's sites were that way if you're going to use those sites. Okay, so the next part, desktop or mobile, once you've created your checklist of the components that you'll need on each page, you sketch out several rough layouts that work for these components. Depending on your target visitor demographics, you may decide to focus on a design that's optimized for desktop computers or one that works best on tablets and smartphones. Most designers settle on one basic page design that is a compromise between flexibility and sizzle. And that's what you have to do, because most of the time nowadays people are going to be opening that website on a mobile device. You know, that's just pretty common. So using a consistent page design or template conveys a sense of professionalism and confidence to your visitor. While you're figuring out what your pages will look like, you'll have to address the size and placement of the basic components. Where you put a component can drastically affect its impact and usefulness. Now, when you read this paragraph, this is concerning print design. And used to, they were similar. How you designed a page in print was you put your most important object up in the top left-hand corner, because as Westerners, they call us, Western culture, we read from left to right. So people see what's in the left top corner first and then go down the page. So that was the second power position, was always in the lower right corner. Now, it's not the same in web design, because you don't know if the person's going to be looking at a 20-inch flat screen or if they're going to be looking at a 2-inch cell phone. So in most instances, the only power position that you have in web design is the top upper left corner of any page. So you have to determine, in what I'm doing, do I want to put a logo up there? Is that what I want everybody to see first? Or is there something else that I want them to see? So that's something that you want to think about. Okay. See, these are things that I'm going to look a little closer at in this class, whereas HTML and CSS3, we were just getting our feet wet, okay? Just learning a little bit about HTML and CSS and how to design a page. But we're going to look more into the structure and what makes a site structurally sound and easy for our users to navigate, and quite a few different things. So on page 122 then, if you look, creating wireframes. After you pick the winning design, then wireframing is a fast way to work out the structure of each page in the site. So the thumbnail is just the site structure. The wireframe is the actual detail of where actual links are going to be, where the main headings are going to be. This step helps to catch or anticipate problems before you smack into them when working in the code. So wireframes, if you're going to have more than one design, if your pages are all going to be designed the same, then you would only have one wireframe, right? So if you have different designs on your pages, then you would have that many wireframes. So the wireframe for the final design should identify all components and include specific information about content, color, and dimensions. So here they've said this header is going to be stripes plus green gradient. They've even put in the colors, right? Here they've told how big this picture is going to be, that there's going to be another sidebar here, how big the banner is, 200 pixels. What image is going to be here. Now, this won't all be done in this first week or so, okay? The wireframes. This is just what I want you to start on. So, once the basic concepts are worked out, many designers take an extra step and create a full-size mock-up or proof of concept using a program like Fireworks or Photoshop or even Illustrator. Now, the purpose for this, and I know right now, all you have to please is me, right? You have to show me and yourself, okay? But when you really do this, I think maybe, Rebecca, you were wanting to have like a custom business, I think, maybe, and do with home business based. Well, you'll have clients. And most of the time, you can tell your client and you can show your pencil drawings, but a lot of them really would rather see an actual mock-up of what the page is going to look like before they sign off on it and say, yeah, that's what I want, okay? So, and a lot of people know Photoshop well enough that that's what they're already doing their web pages in, is Photoshop or Illustrator, any of the Adobe products, but Photoshop is usually the most common one that people are using for design layout. And a lot of people that take Intro to MULT, they try, like I have a student right now in Photoshop, and when he did Intro to MULT, he did his iPad app and design layout all in Photoshop, his mock-up, which was really not what I want. I wanted him to use InDesign. But a lot of people do that because they're familiar with Photoshop first. Okay, so what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to open it up and get into our lesson 4, and we're going to use a feature that's only been in the CC. Okay, but before we do that, see, we got 30 minutes. I don't know if I'll get through all of it. Well, I hope we do. I wanted to go through the PDF. If I don't get to the 2 PDFs in the final project, I told y'all where they are, and if a couple of things don't seem applicable to what we've done so far, then let me know. Like there's one that says something about you go ahead and create your blank index page, and there was something about putting an update in there that you may not know how to do yet. So you can email me if there's something you don't understand, because I wanted to get through this lesson so you'll know how to do this. Working with the Adobe generator, then we're going to go down and okay, so Okay, I'm going to go away from the book and hopefully I can read mine in the dark here.
Can you turn the lights on?
Can you all see the screen okay if I do? Try it. Turn the screen that on and then I'll see. I used to have my lamp up here and I can't ever remember to replace the bulb. If you're setting up this close, can you see the screen okay then? Okay.
I've got my book, so.
Yeah, she's got a book, so it'll be all right. Yeah, you won't be able to see the book, Jonathan, because I'm going to take it off and go to Dreamweaver. Okay, now actually, we're going to launch Photoshop first. So I'm going to open Photoshop. Are you using your laptop, Jonathan, or are you going to? Okay.
I don't have Photoshop on it anymore.
You don't? Okay, then you probably, yeah, you'll have to open, then you'll have to do this part in here on the Mac.
Well, if I get Photoshop, then I'm probably going to do your thing and I can just download everything.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, so we're going to open Green Start _ mockup from the Lesson 04 folder. So I'm going to go here and open. So I have to find my Lesson 04. Lesson 04, I believe I put it on Google. Let me see, MULT2003. Oh, there, yeah, there's the lesson files. Lesson 4, and it may be in images. No, what is it, a PSD? There it is. It's actually in resources in Lesson 04. So it's Green Start Mockup. So we're not going to actually create the mockup. Oh, and it did say one of the fonts is going to be not in here. And so you have to, this document contains fonts that are not on this computer. Some of these. Okay, so don't resolve. Wait. Oh, type kit is off. I need to turn it on. You don't have to do this. Let's see. You can just type it. I think I'll skip that or we won't get everything done. So it's going to have a different font today and I will. But the way you do that, did yours come up like that, Rebecca?
Yeah, I just hit don't resolve.
Okay, don't resolve. Okay, because if you have it at home, then you should be able to. Do you have CC at home?
I have it at home, but I haven't tried it yet. So.
Okay, well, you should be able to put those fonts in, and it'll tell you how to do it. Okay, choose File, Save As, and we're going to save it as My Green Start so that we don't mess with the file. So this one can go outside the Lesson 04. Or did they have us save it in? Well, it doesn't matter. My Green Start .mockup.psd. So I'm going to save it like that. Okay, and
which one are we doing? The Green Start or the
Green Start?
Okay.
okay, so next, if necessary, choose Window Layers to display the Layers panel. So if your Layers panel isn't showing, then go to Window and choose Layers so that your layer panel shows up. Observe the names and contents of the layers and layer groups. Okay, here are, this got quite a few layers in this mock-up. If you notice over here at the right, let me see if I can make this larger. Well, yeah, it's way over there, isn't it? Okay. Does it have the Lesson 04 on that computer you may? Oh, okay.
Okay, well, never mind. Just go to File and Open. And then, yeah, just do the save as.
Okay, you got it now?
Mhm.
Okay, you see where that,
Just that much.
yeah, so that you don't change the file. What you can do if you create this, Jonathan, is then you can go ahead and put it on Google
Yeah, that's
Drive
what I was
and
gonna
share it. Yeah.
Since I was here.
Yeah. Okay, so over here in the layers panel, what it wanted to show you is all the layers that are in this mock-up. They've got a folder called Navbar, and inside it, they've created all of those links that are up here, but they're not real links, but they are formatted a certain way. They have green news, green events, green travel, green tips. So their mock-up has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages on the home page that link off the home page. And the layers panel over here is where I'm looking at. It's kind of small, but it has folders. Here's the header folder, which is this up here, right? It's the header. Now you'll notice they put it right in the middle, and they've got green start text. So that's this text with effects and a drop shadow on it. Then they've got a motto, which is this, green awareness in action. And that's in the layer. And so they've got it formatted a certain way. Then the stripe, let's see, that'd be the, is that the yellow stripe they're talking about? Let's see, motto, fern, and then the stripe. Oh no, that may be the blue. Stripe effects, dark shadow. You can also turn these off and on. Oh, that's the stripes that they created. You see it's going off and on. So this one, the eyeballs tell you what you can see if you're not sure what they're formatting there. Then we have a background gradient, which is still part of the header. See when I turn it off and on. Then we have a folder, which is, so I'm going to close the header folder with that. Now I have a sidebar. Then sidebar 1, and then I have the main section, which is going to be this section in the middle. So they have it formatted. And you'll notice this little yellow triangle here in the text. That means that that font is the one that was missing that I didn't go ahead and download.
Oh, well, I guess he has the font because his doesn't show that.
Oh, really? Yours doesn't show that. So yours, that machine has the right font. That's funny. Somebody may have downloaded it previously or something on that machine. Okay, so then we have the footer, which is down at the bottom, and that's the footer bar, and that's it. So all of those layers are there. Open the header layer group and observe. Okay, we already did all that. Green start layer, to toggle it off and on, the text in the front layer. Okay, it's just showing you how to find all of them. Now we're going to export these assets from Photoshop into Dreamweaver. So the way we do that is we're going to double click to edit the name of the fern layer to fern PNG. So find the fern layer, which was part of the header.
You said fern PNG?
Yes, we're going to change where it says fern down here. We want to change it to, so click on it, the name. Oh, why is it not letting me click in there? There it is. You have to double click it, then click. Oh, okay. Now my cursor should be there. F, but it's not letting me type in there. Why is that? Double click to edit the name of the fern layer to fern.png and just. Is yours letting you edit that layer?
Yeah, mine worked.
Capital PNG?
No. Oh, I see where it is, I think. There it is. Fern.png. I was typing in the wrong spot. Then hit enter, and it has fixed that. Then choose File, Generate Image Assets. So we're going to go up to File. There should be Generate Image Assets. And then Image Assets. And it says, next time you look at the Generate Menu option, a check mark will appear beside the image assets. Okay, so next we want to go up to File, Open, still in Photoshop, navigate to the Lesson 04 folder, and now look at the Resources folder. Oh, see, this was supposed to be in the Resources, and I didn't do that. Navigate to the micro. Okay, I should put this inside the Resources, and oh, it's probably not going to let me do that. Let me see. I should have saved the one called My Green Start. Where'd it go? Up here. Lesson 04. This and this folder should be in Resources. Yeah. Okay. Now it says a new folder has been created and named My Green Start. So if you open this Resources folder now, it should have My Green Start Mockup Assets. Okay, whenever you add file extensions to the layer names and enable generator, it creates a folder and fills it with assets automatically based on the layer names and settings. So if you navigate to the My Green Start Mockup Assets folder created by Photoshop, the folder contains a single image, fern.png. So if we open this folder, we notice it has one image called fern.png. Open fern.png. So that's the one that we're supposed to open. Oops, I'm not in the right place here. So when I did File Open, that's what I'm supposed to be opening, is the fern.png. Open into Photoshop. The file contains the fern with a transparent background. Note how the image displays a drop shadow. I'm going to make it a little larger. I can go down here and do actually, I'm going to do about 200%. A little larger, but you can see the drop shadow on it. So now, note how the image displays the drop shadow. The shadow is permanent part of the image, no longer created by a Photoshop effect. Because when we generated the assets, you notice that it created an image with only one layer here. So it doesn't have the effects that was in the original image. So now we want to change the size of it and the resolution. So if we go up to image size, it's going to bring up this box, which tells us that the image is 468 pixels by 157 pixels at 72 pixels per inch is the resolution. Click OK to close the image dialog box. That was just to show you what size it is. Now we're going to create multiple assets using generator. So we're going to change the layer name fern.png to 200% fern.png plus fern.jpg. So it shows you that what you're supposed to type in on that page. Yeah, over on page 1. Yeah, we go back to the first image, My Green Start Mockup, and go back, or I think, wait a minute.
That's what it looks like because it's got the motto right above it.
Okay. So it wasn't clear on that,
didn't
was
say,
it?
but yeah, it's kind of safe to assume.
So you-
Okay, yeah, so we go back to, click over on your My Green Start, go to fern.png again, double click fern PNG again, and type in 200%, and then it says fern.png, and you're supposed to put after that plus fern.jpg. Type it in just like that in the name. See how it says in the book, and then enter. So now that's got a new name. Choose File Open to navigate to the mockup, and the folder contains, wait, it didn't tell us to generate, did it?
No, but we've already clicked it, so it's going to do it anyway.
Oh, okay, let's go over there and see. So now we go to File Open again. We should be,
Yours isn't there.
no, is yours there?
Yes, I have
Yeah,
JPG
so is
and
mine.
PNG. Did you save it or did you do enter?
I did enter. That's weird. And yours did it automatically when you just,
I mean, did you unclick your generate?
what do you mean?
Like the generate?
Oh, that's what I didn't look at. Let me see. Well, I didn't unclick it, but it looks like it's unclicked, doesn't it? Let me see now if it is still clicked. Now it's clicked. It may make me go back and redo it. Let me see if it's there. That's what happened. No, it's there just as soon as I clicked it. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna write that on there. Make sure generate is checked. Okay. Select fern.png and open this file again. It's already open, isn't it?
Yes.
The file contains the fern, but it appears twice as large as the previous image. So if we open it again, okay, there's the 200% one. But here's where I had it actually. %, fern plus. Okay, that's the one that I just did. All right, so wait, is this the new one? No.
If it's the new one, it's the big one.
I must have not opened the right. Okay, so I'm supposed to go over there and open that one in. Okay, yeah, it's already big. Okay, so next open fern.jpg. So I go File, Open, fern.jpg. And it's little bitty. Is yours little bitty?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says it's the same fern image, but at the original size.
You have to open the JPEG.
JPEGs do not support transparency, so the background is white. There's no need for the JPEG version of the image. Generator can remove assets automatically too. So change the layer name 200% fern PNG plus fern.jpg to 150% fern.png and press enter and return. Okay, so we're supposed to go back to our mockup file, change the name to
Dragon.
to 150%, and just fern.png, not JPG.
What was it? JPG? PNG?
PNG, because it supports transparency and Fern doesn't. The new specification creates a layer, higher quality image that will display well in regular browsers and on the new crop of higher resolution devices. by you're removing fern.jpg from the layer name, generator automatically deletes the JPEG version of the file. So if we choose File Open Now and go to My Green Start Mockup Assets again, it's there.
Yeah, well, because we took away the.
You can create an entire set of images for your site design from the layers in this file. In the Layers panel, open the header layer group now. Okay, in the Layers panel, open the header. Is that what it said? Open the header. Change the name of the stripe layer group to stripe.png. So we go down to the stripe.
I'm not finding header.
No, go back to the first page. Yeah, they're very not clear when you.
No, when you need to go back and forth. No, it's not.
Oh, here.
Change the name of the stripe layer group. So I guess we changed that whole group right
Yeah,
there.
The folder.
The folder.
Well, you're in header.
Stripe.png. And so when I hit enter, it should create assets. If I still have it
Just
checked.
To the stripe folder.
Okay. And then open sidebar 2 layer group and change the layer shopping to shopping.jpg. So this one's going to change to.
Well, no, not opening up because we're going to change.
Now, did it mean there's also a layer called stripes-group? No, I think it meant the folder. Surely it did. Okay, then we're supposed to go down to sidebar 2. Sidebar 2, change.
You're changing two of the things in there, not the actual like folder.
Yeah, not the actual folder in it. Sidebar 2, you changed the shopping one to .jpg, enter, and the biking to JPG. Now the reason these are JPG is because they're images.
It's in, yeah, it's down.
You have to open that folder. Yeah, and scroll down. Now choose File Open.
Oh, you don't have it open. I'm just, yeah. Like, yeah. The arrow.
Okay, so biking and shopping.
Yeah.
Okay, so we name it biking.
JPG.
Okay, so we were able to finish that. It didn't take as long as they're saying. So we've created these that we're going to use in the in creating this website in each lesson. And what it tells you at the bottom of 128 is it gives you the link to the place out at that where all those tutorials are, that you can watch a tutorial on the Adobe generator that really even shows you more things and benefits to that. So we created out of our Photoshop layers some things that we're going to actually use in the creation of the web, of the page layout, which will be lesson 5 that we'll do next week. We'll do 5 and 6 next week. But since we do have a couple minutes, let me look at, so you'll understand that PDF in D2L. Where did that go? There it is. Final project 1.
I don't know. Do we like upload this to the drive or?
Yeah, what you do on that is you will zip that folder and then upload that folder, lesson folder, to the Google Drive.
The whole lesson folder or just the My Green
Just
Start
the stuff that you did. You don't have to do you can do just the resources.
folder? Okay.
Because that resources folder has everything in it that you did. So at the end of the semester, you should have on your finished folder, your finished lesson zip should have the site completed. But this way you're doing a little at a time. Did you get that uploaded, Jonathan, where you can use it? So I want to, you can print these out of D2L if you want, because they are PDF files. But what I'm calling this, what this final project is called, is a portfolio project. And I already read this part, so you can go back. You're going to build on this site from chapter to chapter. So you must do each portfolio project assignment in each chapter to complete your website. And what that means, it's calling it chapter here because I'm adapting this from another, from an assignment that I've always used, and they were chapters then. So they're lessons, and each lesson, there will be a sheet like this that helps you do a little bit to your final project as you go along so that you don't have it all at the end, okay? So if you don't keep up, that's, you know, that's up to you if you want to do it all at the end. But here's what it tells you. This first one was to decide what type of site you would like to create. And if you're using your same one, then you've already done that. Write a list of questions and answers about the site you've decided to create. Create the wireframe to include at least 4 pages, and the wireframe should include the home page with at least 3 child pages under it. Create a local site folder and an assets folder to house the assets. Then set up your site using the local site folder as the website local site folder, and the assets folder is the defaults images folder. So that's what we did in lesson 1. We created the site folder, right? So this one, so now in your Dreamweaver, you're going to have 2 site folders. The one for the lessons in the book, which is the green start one, and then you'll have another site that you define for your final project, okay? If you need help doing that, let me know. And then you're to create your blank page, or if you're using your site from HTML, then your home page won't be a blank page. But your home page needs to be called index.html, okay? But that's what it is. It's a placeholder for the home page. If you're creating or changing your website a lot, you may just want to create a placeholder for right now for your home page. Then begin collecting your stuff for your portfolio site. And that's what the first one was. And then the second, final project 2, there's where a couple of things that I need to show you may be a little different. In this part, it refers to a chapter 1, which there's, oops. Okay, so in this part, you are to, oh, am I back at, no, there it is. In chapter 1, you created a wireframe for your website with at least 4 pages. You also created a local site folder for your site and an assets folder to store the site asset files. Actually, it's saying a wireframe with at least 4 pages. Your thumbnails is what showed that hierarchy. It's actually the wireframe that you create is the mock-up, okay? Or the however many page designs you're going to have, that's what the wireframes are, okay? So you set the assets folder up and you did all that. Now you're going to think about the head content for the home page, add the title, keywords, and a description, create the main page content for the home page, add the address and other contact information to the home page, including an email address. Consult your wireframe and design your menu bar. Link the menu bar items to the appropriate pages and add a, this is the part that I am not, you don't have to do yet if you don't want to, but most of the time on a corporate type website, you have in the footer an update that says what date it was last updated, so that you know if you've got the page that you think you have, that you've recently updated. Edit the page content until you are satisfied with the results. You can start on the CSS if you want. You don't have to do that yet. Verify that all your links work. Okay, and then these are your website checklists. These are the things that you want to have done by the end of next week. And if you have questions on Monday about some of these website checklist questions, then let me know. Okay, but what I want you to for sure have done is have your final project folder on the Google Drive and have what I mean by planning documents, Jonathan, because that's what you were asking me in Evernote in the beginning, is you need to have your thumbnail with the structure and your wireframes, or you can actually just have a Photoshop mockup if you want, either way. Okay, you don't have to use a Photoshop mockup if you're not familiar enough with Photoshop that you feel comfortable with that. You can just draw your wireframe and scan them in and put them in your folder, okay? Or take a picture of them, whichever. I forget we have the camera too.
For the thumbnail, the one where it's like the graph or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Could I use Lucid Chart for that?
Yes, that will work perfect. Okay. I think we're done. Let me go over here, take this off, stop the broadcast.